goals, there's objectives and strategies that are much more detailed. Okay, so I explained a little bit about who we are. These are the team members, Benito and Aisha, who are on the line here today. So they're listening in to your questions and your feedback. They've been really instrumental in putting this document together and kind of fine-tuning it. So a lot of what they hear from you all tonight is going to go into any revisions that we take forward in this process. So what is a comprehensive plan? It's really a long-range policy document to guide decision-making here in the village over the course of the next 10 to 20 years. And it's an official document that gets adopted by the local government. So it's something that you can reference and point to and refer to whenever a developer comes in front of you and says, I want to do this, or decisions are being made about community facilities or infrastructure, or even the schools, how that fits into the future of the community itself. So it's really a roadmap. So the plan itself includes, as I mentioned, a series of chapters around things like land use, open space, parks, downtown. Each chapter has a series of goals. So the goals are really kind of the high level, what we're hoping to achieve. Underneath the goals, we have the objectives, which really get into the measurable actions that the village can take over the next 10 to 20 years to really, steer the ship in the right direction. And then we have an implementation section at the end, which includes a series of, matrices that have everything listed out. We can check things off as they get accomplished. Sarah mentioned earlier about starting a Main Street program in downtown West Milton. That's actually in the plan. So that's an example of something where the plan is a living document, and you can check things off, you can revise it, you can refine it going forward. So here are the kind of the core chapters, the core elements. I'm going to move this here so everyone can read this. Okay, let's try that. So we have the community character and identity chapter, which really is more of the vision statement, who we want to be as a village going forward at a high level, and what makes West Milton special, and what we want to represent it as. We have the downtown West Milton chapter, which we spent a good deal of time and energy on earlier in the process, that really creates a structure for downtown improvements and change and growth. What types of improvements to the public realm, which includes the parks and the streets, what type of new investment and development should be promoted in the downtown area. Then we have land use, which looks village-wide at where future changes. Land use means residential, commercial, industrial, open space. So the land use chapter helps to guide that future growth. And a lot of that has to do with potential future annexation, because the village is essentially built out. So when new growth happens at the edges of the community, this chapter will help to kind of direct the priorities related to that. Parks and open space looks at all of the inventory of the parks that are here today, and then talks about improvements to the specific parks, but then also kind of overall guidelines for where we should be looking at investment in new park facilities, or improvements to maybe park areas that are underutilized that can be a bigger asset. Transportation and infrastructure includes all the streets and the sidewalks throughout the village. Talks about improvements to those areas, and I'll get into that a little bit. Economic development, we were just referring to the plan that's in place to recruit new businesses into the community and into the downtown. Well, this has goals and objectives related to that. The community facilities are all of the things like the police and the fire and the schools and the library. And then the implementation section, which kind of ties everything together nicely. Okay, so why update the plan? So Jeff mentioned the last one was done in 2004. I think a lot of folks didn't even know it existed. And it's probably, I think it was maybe a 5 or 10 page document. I don't think there were maps, graphics, photos, drawings. It was very much a series of goals.